It's been a big year for Motown. The record label, founded in Detroit by Berry Gordy, is celebrating its 60th anniversary. And Gordy used the milestone occasion to announce his retirement from entertainment. Plus, the building where the magic happened broke ground on a $50 million expansion. Plans call for the Motown Museum to grow to a 50,000 square foot campus featuring interactive and educational experiences. Joining me now is the museum's CEO, Robin Terry. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me,
having me back. Yeah, I was going to say, you've been here before. You know the routine. So let's talk about 60 years. That is a little unbelievable,
What
right?
a remarkable celebration and year this has been. You know, I think I think back to where we started at the top of the year, kicking off the celebration of the 60th. I think about, you know, the Grammy celebration, our Founders Day that we hosted with over 1,000 people on the front lawn of Hitsville, the documentary that's come out, and then our big Motown 60 celebration. And it's kind of been a whirlwind year. Yeah. You know?
So I was watching the documentary when it came out, and there was something else going on that night, and I can't remember what it was, but there was something else I was supposed to be watching on television, something news related, and I missed it because I could not turn the documentary off. I mean, all of that footage, a lot of it that I hadn't seen before, and I think a lot of people hadn't. But just the story about this really unlikely idea that becomes everything that we know it is today. It's really something else.
I think it really showed that how, you know, the Motown family was truly a family, and it humanized the story. I mean, we know about, you know, the legend of, Berry Gordy and the $800 loan, but this really showed how all of these young people in Detroit came together as family and really created something remarkable. You know, from the music to the impact of that music and the way it resonated around the world. It really gave you a good sense of what was going on in that little house, Hitsville.
Sure. And if you think about it, it's a really great point how young
they
all were.
Average age was 23.
These are really young people taking an incredible chance and doing something that again, just no one expected them to do.
Absolutely. Well, really doing the impossible, right, for that time, to have something, an independent record company emerge out of a Detroit neighborhood, you know, and become the largest manufacturer of RPM records in the world. Like, that's not supposed to be possible, but it was possible in Detroit.
So let's talk about what's going on at the museum, which is the living part of Motown here in the city. You have big plans, and you're raising big money.
We are. That's all true. I mean, truly, the highlight for me when I think about the entire year, it was that moment we broke ground. You know, having, you know, my uncle here, Berry Gordy here, all of our other supporters, it meant so much to say, this is that moment, this project is real, and this vision is going to come to fruition. Having the support of our donors, that night we announced $1 million gift from John Rogers, the head of Ariel Investments. And so it really, we had just announced my uncle's gift of $4 million. So it just showed that there's so much support for this vision. And it was just very real in that moment. Really real.
So most people watching probably have been to the Motown Museum before, and it's really cool now. But you are really talking about creating something entirely different with this expansion. Talk about how different it will be and what some of the influences are for that.
So let me start with what won't change, because this would get you lots of, you know, calls and emails.
People saying, you can't
what won't change is Hitsville, USA. You know, the crown jewel of Motown Museum. That is why people travel from all over this planet to come to Hitsville, right? They want to stand in the footsteps of Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson and the Miracles and the Supremes. And I mean, that authentic DNA doesn't change. But what the expansion does allow us to do is really activate the inspiration that you get when you come to that space. And so I was talking about, my grandmother, Esther Gordy Edwards, who founded the museum. She really just wanted to make sure that history wasn't lost over time, and that people understood what these young people that we talked about, what they created there and the profound impact they had on the world. So that was good. What we're doing is we're saying, let's build on that. And when people come and they are inspired, let's find a way to connect them to something to elevate their own potential. So if it is a mother or grandmother or that mother or grandmother saying, I want to cultivate my singing or my songwriting, or I'm interested in entrepreneurship, we're going to give them some place to plug in and train and mentor and connect them to industry. And so anyway, it's all about creating opportunity, which is exactly what Motown did in Detroit.
And the scale here, 50,000 more square feet, it seems to reflect, I think, appropriately, the scale of this legacy.
Absolutely.
Not that there's anything wrong with the current museum, but I think you would expect it to be on the scale that you're trying to build now.
Well, I always say, we started by getting the original homes, right? Securing those original homes. And those homes tell an important story about Motown's humble beginnings, the entrepreneurial spirit of Motown. But the story doesn't stop there. And so what the newer construction does is it shows you what rises from that. And, it becomes multi-sensory, multimedia, a music lover's playground, but still, wrapped in this story of Motown and how did the impossible happen on West Grand Boulevard. And that's what everybody wants to know.
Your uncle said earlier this year he is going to retire from entertainment, which also seems impossible.
I don't know what that means.
Right? How is that going to work?
I don't know what that means coming from somebody who has been creative his entire life, But he is in a space in his life where he's pouring into other people who are making things happen, and he sees himself as a teacher and wants to pass along his wisdom and his lessons learned. And I can say I feel really honored as his great niece to be the recipient of a lot of that wisdom.
Is he going to be more involved maybe in the museum? Is he going to have more time to be connected to it?
I will tell you what he told me while he was here, because I made the mistake of telling him that there was something I couldn't reach him for. And he said, don't ever say that. He said, you can reach me whenever you need to.
Right.
And so I say that to say that, he already has tremendous input in creatively what we will bring to this, but we go to him. And we let him, work with the team and give us wisdom and keep us on track.
What's the timetable for getting all this done?
It's when we raise the dollars.
Get all the money in place,
and I keep saying that, and people say, Robin, I know it's when we, but that's real. We have been successful in raising half the dollars needed, 25 million, which is a tremendous milestone, but we've got a long way to go. And so, we're looking for partners and people who want to invest in this really unique opportunity to leverage such an important part of our culture and the future.
I mean, it's hard to come up with anything really that is more reflective of us as Detroiters and of this city over the last half century than Motown.
I would agree with you.
I mean, what else would we try to build to sort of tell that story, other than something like the Motown Museum?
And something that speaks so loudly about us as Detroiters all over the world. I think that's what continues to keep me in awe of this legacy, because I meet people who I think should have no connection, and they feel as personal about it as I do, and I'm like, you're from this remote place around the globe. How could it possibly mean so much to you? But it does.
The music spoke to everybody.
It really did. And I think in a really profound way, Motown music did something nothing else could, and that was bringing people together. And people who were very, very different beliefs, different faiths, but somehow this music created a space for them to celebrate together, and that's been reflective of our entire year.
Yeah. All right. Always great to catch up with you.
Always good to be
Good
here.
luck on the fundraising for the museum.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be a great day when we open that here in Detroit.
Oh, we'll all be there together, hopefully.